Okay, boxing fans. Mayweather vs Maidana was mayhem by name, mayhem by nature, in terms of the referee fucking lost control of the whole fucking fight. But I'm gonna go straight in here. I'm gonna talk to Rory first. Rory, what did you first reckon about the whole fight as a whole?
As a whole fight, it was messy. It was, Kenny Bayless didn't stamp his authority on the fight. Mayweather obviously complained about the alleged biting of the glove, but I think even Maidana complained the odd occasion as well. Seemed to play by their own rules. And as far as the fight goes, to be honest, because of that, it was actually a little bit more entertaining. But not necessarily for the right reasons,
Yeah, it wasn't. I didn't think it was that entertaining compared to the last fight. I thought the last fight was better.
Yeah.
Compared to a lot of his other fights like Guerrero, I think it was a bit more entertaining, but you can't really take much into that. Ryan, what did you reckon? What did you think about the whole fight?
Well, I thought it was fairly entertaining. It wasn't quite as good as the first fight. I actually just been going through my score again. I think I actually scored it a draw again for the second fight in a row. I thought that Maidana won about 6 rounds, and I thought Mayweather won about 6 rounds, and I actually think that Maidana won the rounds he won better than the rounds that Mayweather won. So I actually think that, I think that if there was a fair sort of playing field, and there was no politics, and there was no trainers, and no ref, or maybe a ref, but no Heyman and all that involved, I think fights like this would be scored draws.
Yeah. Ryan, I'm going to stick with you for a minute. At the beginning of the fight, me and Kingy were talking about Mayweather when he came into the ring. He didn't look his usual self, and throughout the whole fight he looked a bit, what's the word? Sorry for himself. He looked a bit shitty on himself. He just didn't seem the same Mayweather, smiling all happy and all, the same guy. What did you reckon about that?
I didn't think anything of it. I thought that maybe he was just in the zone, maybe he was just looking a little bit more, maybe just looking a little bit more focused than he has done in the past. But, yeah, I from now on, we're not going to see any vintage performances from Floyd. We haven't seen a vintage performance from him in years. Since his sort of big win over Shane Mosley, he hasn't really performed at a sort of level that you would relate to, his earlier days. I mean, I'm reading people saying that Maidana barely won a round tonight, and he barely won a round the first fight, but no, you can't allow a guy to have a round just because he throws a few jabs here and a couple of counters. Put it this way, the best punches tonight were thrown by Maidana. So the power punch victory goes to Maidana. The pressure and the relentlessness all goes to Maidana. The precision somewhat goes to Maidana. He was landing with his jabs all night long, something you would imagine that Mayweather would do, but he wasn't. And Mayweather was sort of reduced to throw in left jabs to the body. So, this wasn't a vintage Floyd.
Okay. Rory, what do you think about the initial question, which was, what was the question? It was
about Floyd being dejected.
He looked a bit dejected, yeah? We'll go with the word dejected. What do you reckon? Do you see that?
Exactly. I mean, it's... I think you can look at it as either one or two things I would personally say. Is one, that he's probably fallen out of love with the sport a bit. He's got 2 fights left. Let's be honest, he's only in the sport for money. He's always kind of said that. So he's not to an extent, he's not a pure boxing fan. Or as Ryan just kind of said, it could be a case that Maidana gave him one hell of a fight first time round. There was no room for sort of like messing about and giving it all his usual antics, because he probably thought, well, hang on a minute, I did that last time, nearly came unstuck, need to probably get proper game face on for the second time. I've had my scare, I've had my fright, and take it from there really. To kind of touch upon what Ryan said in terms of scoring and everything, if that's alright, I had the fight like the 9-3 or 8-4 to Floyd, but what I would say is that the rounds I gave to Floyd, a lot of it was based on the fact that I knew Floyd would have got the decision in those rounds, rather than...
What do you mean, on the judges' scorecards?
On the judges, yeah. Rather than it being a definitive Floyd, Floyd did absolutely brilliantly that round. One thing I do agree with Ryan is that the rounds that Maidana won were more convincing rounds being won than those that Mayweather won. I think a case could be made to the extent whereby if, like Ryan said, it was completely fair and there was none of the politics or the money involved, I think I probably would have scored Maidana more rounds, and I tend to favour the aggressor a lot of the time. I favour a guy who comes to fight. That's the aim of the game. But I think I probably gave the fight to Floyd 9-3 or 8-4. But that was probably simply based on the fact that I knew Floyd would have gotten those rounds because it's Floyd Mayweather.
Yeah, I guess that's the case. I mean, I'm just going to go back to the initial question, and I don't know why, but maybe someone else could help us talk about this. Help us discuss this, because I thought throughout the whole fight Floyd looked dejected. He looked like he was feeling sorry for himself. He looked like, woe is me. That's the best way I can explain it. Woe is me. No one likes me. I'm going to go outside and I'm going to go eat worms. That was the whole thing. That's a saying in the UK, if you don't know. I don't understand why he was thinking that. Maybe someone else could. Was it the X thing? Was it that, Justin Bieber didn't walk out with him? Was it fucking Maidana didn't seem scared? Or was it just some other bullshit that went on? I don't know. But he did not seem the same Mayweather that came to the ring every single day. He didn't jump around the ring like he does every single day. He just didn't seem the same Mayweather to me, and that's all I'm going to say. I'll move into the score and shit later. But what did you guys reckon about Kenny Bayless, the referee? We'll start with Roddy in this one.
I think we touched upon it. It was a bit of not necessarily an identical mirror image, but a bit of an image, of the Ricky Hatton Mayweather fight and Joe Cortez's performance. You want to see them fight, and they just looked like he was so there. I think a lot of the time I saw Kenny Bayless having to dodge and dive and move his way out of the fighters, but I don't think that was because they were moving overly fast around the ring. I think that he was just there,
in the way,
so close to them. Yeah, in the way, getting ready at any minute to jump in and split it up. There's numerous times that I saw in that fight whereby they could have easily worked out, tried to work out of a clinch or
fight their way out the clinch. Yeah.
That's the one. And he just, it was straight in there, arms in, move him out, fight again. And especially with like a fighter like Maidana that probably thrives a bit on a bit of inside fighting and a bit of rough, then it's the same scenario, isn't it? Make sure Floyd Mayweather has space, make sure he don't get roughed up, let the referees know that, let the referees do that as a favour for Floyd. And you saw it in the Hatton fight, you saw it with the fight here as well, and especially when the whole buy-in incident, that could have been solved.
We'll come into that a bit later. We'll come into that later. What did you reckon about the points deduction initially?
The point deduction was daft. There was no warning for that, for what he did. I mean, was it a low blow that he did at the point to us?
I thought he was throwing him on the floor.
Oh yeah, that's the one. Throw him on the floor. It's at 6 or 1/2 dozen. The amount of times that Floyd, grabbed his head, put his arm around the back of his head and pushed him down. It's a fight. These things sort of happen. A bit of give and take. It was 6 or 1/2 dozen. Just tell them both to stand up. Tell them both to pack it. Yeah, tell them both to pack it in, get fighting, end of story, done.
Would you say the referee lost control of the whole fight around then?
Yeah, especially with the other incident we're going to talk about as
We'll
well.
talk about that, but before that, I think Mayweather actually landed good. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it was a good little body throw by Mayweather. Sorry, Maidana. But Mayweather landed a good elbow shot in there for himself.
Yeah.
Afterwards, and then the incident will come on too late. Okay, but Ryan, I'm gonna leave you there for a minute, Brody. Ryan, what did you reckon about Kenny Bayless?
Well, yeah, the point deduction was a travesty. I mean, that was just. I think it was his first offence of like pushing Maidana. I think it was his first offence, and that usually when a guy gets a point deducted or gets floored or whatever, people score that round to the other guy, to the opponent. But personally, I scored it 9-9 because I actually scored that round to Maidana. So, but I can see how most people would have scored that round to Mayweather, even if they thought Maidana had been winning. So that's already a 10-8 round. So that made the scoring a lot wider for Mayweather than maybe it should have been. So I thought that was a disgrace. And then if you're going to deduct a point for that, for like one pushing offence, then really Mayweather should have been deducted a point for his elbowing, which he did several times. And again, Maidana might have bitten Mayweather. Are we not doing that yet?
No, we're going to it in a minute.
Alright.
We'll get on to a minute. We're going to a minute. I mean, I thought personally, let me just have my little minute. Put yourself on mute, Ryan. Nice one. Because I thought Kenny Bayless didn't actually have a great fight. I thought that he was too involved. He was too pro Mayweather, and I expect that because he's American and he's a company man. That's what he is. That's his job. But Tony Week showing us last time. If you don't let Mayweather have everything his own way, shit can go south. And even though at times I thought, whoa, I bet good money on Mayweather to win that fight and this fight, and I won good money, so I'm happy. But last time I was like, whoa, Tony, what you doing, man? But I was thinking, it's quite refreshing to have a referee who's not sucking that dick. And on this one, we went back to a referee who was, let me go back to this phrase, sucking that dick. So I was unhappy about that, but we'll move on to the big talking point that you all want to talk about. We'll start with you, Ryan. Did you think Maidana bit Mayweather?
Well,
did he go all Suarez on him?
Going by the the sort of replay from the appropriate angle, yeah, it did look like, to me, it looked like he came away from the glove with his mouth open, but maybe that's because he was breathing with his mouth open, or it might have been, there's a few reasons. But if he had bitten him, and if Kenny had seen it, then he should have been disqualified.
That's right. Let me just run through a few things that I will notice would have happened. Floyd's wearing hand wraps, yeah. Floyd's wearing gloves, yeah. Floyd's got adrenaline running through his body, yeah. My God, my voice then. Maidana's got a mouthpiece in his mouth. Do you really think he felt his whole hand go numb?
Well, you can still feel pressure. So even if he had bit him, fairly sort of softly or whatever, you can still feel the pressure. I mean, it wouldn't have hurt him, of course it wouldn't have, but he could have felt the pressure. So it would be a bit, dumb to even bite someone on a hand or to disqualify them for that. But there is a rule, no biting. And if he went and bit him, then, it's a disqualification, even if he bit him on, the shoe. But why did he even do that? That was a sign of desperation from Maidana.
Yeah.
But it was silly because he was arguably winning that round anyway.
Yeah, I suppose so. But like you said, I mean, it's not come out if he definitely did or definitely didn't. And I don't suppose we'll say the word allegedly. Rory, what do you reckon, mate? Do you reckon he allegedly bit Mayweather or not?
Yeah, I think it's one of those that I think on the television it showed you it from about 4 or 5 different angles, and every single angle there was something in the way
Yeah.
But it was a glove.
Sorry, Brody, let me just stop you there. Let me just add, we've named a guy called Luis Suarez like several times through this, and on every angle you can see him biting the motherfucker he's up against. On every single angle you can see it. There's nothing in the way.
Yeah.
In this case, there's something in the way every time. Glove, piercing.
Even Kenny Bayless's hand ended up getting in the way.
Kenny Bayless's hand.
Which kind of shows how involved Kenny Bayless was with, in the fact that he's blocking some of the view.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing with the whole biting incident that I kind of touched upon before was the way Kenny Bayless handled it. That could have been something that could have been rectified in 10 seconds. But he went to each individual corner. There was judges jumping up onto the apron, not judges,
coaches.
Coaches on the apron. There was some sort of, it was the guy in the glasses who jumped up. He had to, the referee discussed with.
I assume it was one of the
some sort of official or something.
Yeah, some sort of official. It might have been the number 2 because they do the instant replay thing now, don't they?
Yeah, number 2. And that could have been just something of, right guys, bring them both in. I didn't see what happened. Floyd, go and have a minute. Right? Let me know. A bit like if it's a low blow. You've got 5 minutes if you want to take it. Right? We'll wait. And then no more about it. But even when the fight was actually then continued, Floyd was still moaning about it. Mm-hmm. And even when the bell went, he was moaning about it. Just, yeah, it happened. It shouldn't have happened if it did happen. Absolutely right, it shouldn't have done. But the referee has said, I haven't seen it. I can't judge. And the story, you can't all of a sudden expect the ref to then go, actually, now you've moaned about it enough.
You know what, I'll take your word for it. That's what you're saying. You can't say, you know what, Floyd, I'll take your word for it. You're only a convicted felon and woman beater and total prick, so, yeah, okay, I'll take your word for it, because you're, good sense of person, huh? You can't say that, can you?
Exactly.
I'm not saying Maidana's a great sense of person either, I'm just saying you can't expect one side of the story over you.
And don't get me wrong, if I'm exactly the same as you. If Maidana has, and Kenny Bayless in it, it'd be struck off, see you later, off you go, DQ, Floyd. Floyd wins. As it should be as well,
Yeah. But that's not the case, is it? What do you reckon about the both corners jumping in, giving their all? I mean, what's his name? Floyd Senior jumped up and was like, "Oh, he bit him." Yeah, because you could see, couldn't you, bell end from behind fucking Maidana and behind Kenny Bayless, totally opposite the angle of play. You could see, couldn't you?
Exactly. It's just daft. He did the ref didn't need to go and consult him.
Yeah.
The ref just should have said, "I've spoke to the fighters. If you want to discuss it when they return to the corners in between rounds, by all means do what you want."
Yeah,
but I didn't see it.
I'll tell you something now. Each of them went over to both corners and they got up and went, get off the apron while we're in the round, otherwise you're disqualified. That's what he should have said straight away. And now they shut them all up. No need to them giving their little bits of ordering. Because they're both like clueless to what happened. They weren't there. They weren't involved. Shut up.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not just having a go at Floyd Senior.
Exactly.
Garcia was the same. Was like, oh no, he didn't.
He was exactly the same. Got up. No, he didn't do it. Oh, because don't you, Garcia? Yeah, you know. Shut up. What do you reckon, Ryan?
What about again?
We're talking about the biting incident. Your favourite point. Do you reckon it happened?
Well, I don't know, because I've only seen the replay like once or twice, and from different angles. But from one of the angles, it looked like he had bit him. I think he probably did, and if he did, like I said, if the referee had seen it, then if he wanted to, what's the word? Disqualify him, DQ him, then so be it. I think fans would have been crazy, but Maidana would have nobody to blame but himself.
And I would have strangled someone because I had money on the points. But what do you reckon's worst? Biting someone or kneeing someone or something like that?
Well, I mean, it depends. Like, biting them on the glove or on the shoe or whatever isn't so bad. But, like, biting them on the neck or whatever, that would have been, bad. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't that much of a talking point because Kenny Bayless didn't even really see it, or at least
it's going to be a talking point though, isn't it, for the next 20 years?
Yeah.
What do you reckon about the two corners jumping up on the apron and giving their ordering?
Well, I mean, Mayweather's family has got a history for it. Look at the Zab Judah fight. I mean, if there's any fighter in history who should have been DQ'd, it's Mayweather. That fight that he had against Judah, where his bloody corner jumped up onto the apron and into the ring, that's an immediate disqualification offence, that is. If you enter the ring without the referees, without the fight having ended, it's a DQ. And then Judah's corner then ran in, then there was a melee, then there was a stool going flying. I mean, if you want to know how much power Mayweather and his corner have got in boxing, just look at that fight. I mean, that is solid proof that you can pretty much do what you want if you're, part of Mayweather's clan.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, I guess that's correct. We'll move on from there, though. True that. What do you reckon about Floyd Mayweather as a pound-for-pound fighter? Do you reckon he should still be pound-for-pound fighter, Ryan?
Yeah, well, I mean, he hasn't been pound-for-pound he might be pound-for-pound number one to some people, but I think he's fallen away from there now. I think he's probably about pound-for-pound number 4. Pacquiao, after those couple of losses, he went down to probably just outside the top 10, maybe sort of 8 or 9. He's probably now, after winning against Rios and Bradley in the rematch, and I don't think he lost the first Bradley fight anyway, but I did think he lost both of his last 2 fights against Marquez. So Pacquiao now would probably be about 8, and Mayweather's probably dropped to about 3 or 4, because I think Ward is better than him.
Oh, come on, Ward, come on.
Yeah, he's not fought now.
Fuck off. He's not fought in 18 months.
And I think you could possibly think somebody like Golovkin might be better.
Nah, Rigondeaux. Say Rigondeaux.
Rigondeaux maybe. I think there's a few choices who you could put ahead.
Right, there's choices, but I'm not accepting Flaming Ward, mate. I'm not accepting that. That's a non-accepted. Flaming Rory, you can bring yourself in on this one. Is Floyd still pound for pound number 1?
Yeah, I'll be honest, I'm not a Floyd fan. But those 3 guys that you mentioned, so Ward, Rigondeaux and Golovkin, I'd probably say if I'm ranking them as a comparison to Floyd, Ward hasn't fought in 18 months, so no. And the other 2, and it's not through their own fault, it's because no one wants to fight him, but the other 2 haven't even unified their division.
Yeah.
So, like I said, no one wants to fight Golovkin, no one wants to fight Rigondeaux because they're that good and they're that dangerous. But equally with that, it means they've got, they've not unified the title, they've only won 1 world title at 1 weight division. So yeah, I'd still keep, despite the fact that he's on the decline, he's still not lost. And I know that's not everything, but, he's not a 20 fight up and coming challenger. He's a, 40 odd fight guy who's a 5 odd weight world champion,
Mm-hmm.
So, begrudgingly, I'd still keep him at number 1.
Okay, well, you see, with me personally, I'll put Rigondeaux above him in terms of pound for pound on skills alone. In terms of skills alone, I'll put Lomachenko around him, but maybe not obviously not number 1. I think through dominance, maybe Klitschko is around him. And
yeah, I could argue that.
You could argue that, thank you. But if you look at everyone else, I can't. I love Golovkin, but he's not. I wouldn't even rate him in the top 5. Ward, I don't even think he's in the top 5. I wouldn't. To be honest, I don't think he's even in the top 10 anymore. Because in 2 years, all I've got is some guy called Rodriguez that I've never even heard of. To be honest,
it's such a shame. Such a shame.
Yeah, you can add that in there. It's such a shame. But no, I mean, he's done it to himself. At the end of the day, that's a whole nother video. But we'll move on. We'll move on. You know, well, there's maybe 3 or 4 guys around there. I'd like to see him fight Flaming Bradley. I'd like to see him fight different guys, Floyd Mayweather, but they ain't gonna have him. Who do you think he's gonna fight next, Roddy?
You know, he said he's got 2 fights, hasn't he?
2 fights left.
I'd like to see him fight Khan because I think Khan will actually give him a really good test. And you know what? I actually, because I can see Floyd's noticeable decline, I actually wouldn't mind the Pacquiao fight to end on.
No, but come on, give me realistic fights though as well.
You know what? It'll probably be someone along the lines of the Khan fight might be relatively realistic.
Yeah, I think that's realistic. Not Pacquiao. Give me someone else.
And I imagine it'll be I imagine it'll be a Mexican fighter, just to try and catch out with a big payday.
Danny Garcia.
I wouldn't want to see that fight. I don't know why. I just think it'll be a boring fight. That'll be made Floyd.
In November, okay. Victor Ortiz making a comeback.
No, I'd definitely rather see Danny Garcia. Scratch that. Yeah, I love Danny Garcia fight. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd like to see him fight Keith Thurman. That's not happening though. I mean, the thing is, I could probably list 5 or 6 guys I'd like to see him fight.
Okay. Give me 5 or 6 guys you'd like to see him fight. Give me the 2 most likely.
Well, the guys I'd like to see him fight, I'd like to see him fight Thurman.
Yep.
I'd like to see him fight Pacquiao.
Yeah,
I'd like to see him fight.
Triple G?
Yeah, I mean, if Triple G came down to
154. Okay.
Yeah, 154. I'd love that fight. I even wouldn't mind a Cotto rematch. I think that wouldn't be.
Number 4, not too bad.
Let me have a look. I'd love to see Matisse fight at 147.
Okay, I'll give you that. Matisse fight at 147 for number 5, and that's what you get.
Yeah, those are number 5.
Your most 2
But the 2 most likely. Oh, and I'd throw Khan in there because I'd want to see the Khan fight.
Okay.
Khan think's probably most likely.
Yeah, number 1.
And out the others I just don't think happen. So I think you're right. I think something like Danny Garcia is probably the more likely fight, but it's not. Like it's not in my top 5 of fights I'd want to see.
Maybe a Maidana rematch again.
No. Just it's been done now.
It's been done, and I don't think it needs to be done. But okay, I'm just gonna say that. Ryan, what do you reckon, mate? Give me your top 5 you want to see, and your top 2 you reckon.
Well, I reckon he'll probably fight someone.
Give me top 5 first.
Well, top 5. Well, I'm not sure I really want to see any of them, but I would imagine something like Khan, Thurman, Garcia, Matisse, and say Golovkin are probably the 5 best opponents that you could fight. But
not Lauder, no. Not Demetrius Andrade, no. I'm just going to throw a few names out. Not Pacquiao.
Well, yeah, I mean, and Pacquiao you could probably put in there somewhere.
What
but out of those fighters, the only ones I'd really be interested in are maybe maybe the Khan and the Pacquiao fight, or the Khan and the Thurman fight, something like that. But I don't really watch Mayweather to sort of be entertained.
What are your expected fights? These last 2 fights.
And I expect them to be Amir Khan and probably something like Garcia.
Yeah, same. I reckon it'd be Khan Garcia. I'd like to see him fight Thurman, Kettle Brook in the UK, Khan. I'd actually like to see him fight Khan, Golovkin, Andrade. That'd be a good fight. I think the Andrade fight would be a good fight. But that's about it. I ain't too bothered about anybody else. I'm probably missing a load of people. I definitely don't want to see him fight Garcia. Garcia is looking for the losing, and I think he's going to find it soon. That's it. But, do you want any last words on it, Roddy? What do you reckon about the whole fight in particular?
Floyd did what he did, but he didn't do it in impressive fashion at all.
Yeah.
Noticeable decline. I
But
think.
he got the win. He got the win though.
But yeah, but again, like I said, I think he only got the win because he's Floyd Mayweather.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, he's still a fantastic boxer, but he's noticeably declining now.
Yeah.
And I think the next 2 fights he has, I think he needs to pick them wisely.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he's been doing that throughout his career, but I think even more so now. I know he always bangs on about no one's found the blueprint. I don't think anyone has found the blueprint, but I think Maidana's certainly given them some good ideas and good avenues to look into. And I think if you look at the fighters we've all named, Marcus Maidana wouldn't be in, anyone's top 10 pound for pound. I don't think he'd even be in the top 5 at that weight,
No.
So if it was a much better fighter than Maidana and there's enough out there, I think they'd really give Floyd some trouble.
Okay, split time question. If Maidana was to fight the other welterweight champions, let's count Thurman, let's count Kell Brook, let's count Sean Porter, let's count, who else is in there? Pacquiao and Bradley. How many of them do you think Maidana beats?
I think the only one I think he'd get close to is Porter. I think the rest he loses to.
Okay, yeah. Probably. Yeah. Ryan, do you have any closing statements you want on this fight?
No, just it wasn't a great fight, and Mayweather's declining, and that's about it.
But he won though. He won.
Yeah, he won, or maybe a draw, something like that.
But how many of the top 4 or 5 in the division do you think Maidana would do well against?
Probably not that many. I mean, just look at how easy Devin Alexander did against Maidana.
Yeah,
and now look at how much Mayweather struggled against him.
I suppose, definitely, yeah. Interesting thoughts. Tim, what you thought about the heroic display from Floyd Mayweather? Thanks.